Hey, old school gamers. Today's video is a lore video. It's kind of an addendum to yesterday's video about psionics. I noticed yesterday's video was getting a little bit long, so we're going to get into a little bit of the lore today. If you're interested, because as Gary Gygax said, there is no right or wrong way to play D&D. It's up to your personal preferences and your imagination at your table. I'm just hooked on the lore because I've been 51. I've been into it since I was 11. So I've been into this lore for 40 years. But if you want to put some of the thoughts down below as to how you feel about psionics, maybe you're one of those people that's like, ew, psionics, and you don't want it at all. Maybe it's just not the right D&D flavor for you, or you think it's too sci-fi or doesn't fit in. Or you've got some different ideas about psionics. Put them down below. It makes for great discussion. As far as like the official lore, as far as officialness goes, there's two main ideas about psionics, and then there's Dark Sun. I kind of mentioned Dark Sun towards the end. But the two main ideas, other than Dark Sun, was the older idea was that psionics came from a sci-fi universe, came from another dimension, and sort of got imported into D&D. There's a famous Greyhawk module called Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, and it was the first, but probably not the only. Actually, no, I think Blackmore was first. But anyway, back in the days of Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, they were already blending the genres. Both of those guys wrote storylines, one for Blackmore, one for Greyhawk, about a crashed spaceship that came from a sci-fi technological universe and crashed into the D&D world. These and some of the creatures in the Expedition of the Barrier Peaks module for Greyhawk included mind flayers, intellect devourers, and other psionic beings. And so one of the early explanations for where psionics might have come from is psionics came from a sci-fi universe with, mental powers that weren't really magic spells. They were mental powers. And I did notice in at least one version of the tabletop Star Trek role-playing game that I looked at one time. Now, I don't know all the versions. Apparently, there's been several versions. But in at least one version of the Star Trek role-playing game, they actually referred to mental powers that like Vulcans and other alien races have in Star Trek. They referred to that as psionics. Now, it's not called psionics in the show, but it was called psionics for purposes of the tabletop role-playing game. So sci-fi universes were one idea of where psionics came from. Lately, in more recent years, in the 5th edition materials, I've actually seen a kind of a Lovecraftian idea that, in the creature type aberrations, the idea, if you read into the lore about aberrations as a creature type in 5th edition, aberrations are like mind flayers and beholders and stuff. And the ancestors of those things came from the far realm. And the far realm would be like a Lovecraftian dimension beyond the regular multiverse, beyond the elemental planes and the alternate primes and the alignment outer planes where a lot of deities have their realms and a lot of religions and D&D have their afterlives. So the alignment planes, the outer planes, the elemental planes, the inner planes, and then, of course, there's alternate prime worlds. But beyond all that, beyond the regular D&D multiverse would be the far realm. And the far realm would be like a place of Lovecraftian horror and chaos, and things that if they broke into the regular D&D multiverse would just devour and destroy everything. Very Lovecraftian feel. And so aberrations in 5th edition creature design, mind flayers, beholders, things like that, the idea is that those things came from the far realm. And so psionics are actually a warping of reality with your mind that came from the far realm. So those are two ideas from the lore, older 1st edition lore with Gary Gygax, more recent 5th edition lore. At my table, they're both true. I don't see any reason why both those things couldn't have happened in the same game multiverse, at the same table, in the same campaign. I don't see any reason why those are why pick one. They're both true, both of them. And then the Dark Sun idea. So when the world of Dark Sun came out, the writers really wanted to make on purpose, just a strange D&D world. They wanted to make a world that just didn't even feel like D&D. Part of the purpose of creating the Dark Sun campaign was to see if D&D would fit a completely different world with a completely different flavor. And so one of the things they did there was they flipped the script, and instead of making magic the common thing and psionics really rare, they made psionics the common thing and magic really rare. And not only that, but magic is hunted. So the magic users, the mages, the sorcerers, the wizards, and whatnot, the warlocks of Dark Sun would be in that setting. They would be hunted, just kind of like the Jedi are hunted in different time periods in Star Wars history. So and in Dark Sun, psionics are so common that everyone is a wild talent. Even commoner NPCs can be wild talent psionics and have one minor power, because the psionics is that prevalent in their gene pool or their ecosystem, their biology. So that was, I don't want to give away too much of the deeper Dark Sun lore. That's probably enough for the Dark Sun idea for now. But yeah, so psionics, love them or hate them, they're a thing. So unless you don't want them at your table. But that's kind of a little lore addendum for yesterday's commentary on psionics. And tomorrow, as I record this, tomorrow's Christmas Eve day. I'm taking Sundays off from this, so Christmas Day is Sunday this year. But tomorrow I will make some Christmas D&D commentaries. So in the meantime, I'll see you around the gaming table.